He then says that he is willing to go to prison for occupying land, but not for corruption. He then talks about the history of colonialism and apartheid, where land was unjustly dispossessed from the black majority. And it's at this point that he makes this statement. He talks about the colonialists especially slaughtering Africans, for example, in the Eastern Cape, and so forth, and that's where the word slaughtered comes from. So although the statement may be construed as hurtful by a white audience, we need to look at the context and identify both the target group and identity of the utterer. The white group remains socioeconomically powerful. In contrast, the audience of the group that this statement was directed at remains largely poor and landless. We also need to remember that hurtful means severe psychological impact. If we apply an objective test and we ask what the reasonable listener would make of this, we have to, of course, think who is the reasonable listener in the South African context. So the reasonable listener would be a member of the black majority. The reasonable listener would have listened to the entire speech in its context and would have recognized that the topic of the speech was land reform. Here in Durban, here in KZN, everything strategic is given to Indian families. Every big tender is given to Indian families. They are the ones who own everything strategic here in KZN. We don't have a problem. We are saying share with our people. We also want to call upon our fellow Indians and here in Natal to respect Africans. They are ill-treating them. We don't want them to continue that here in Natal. They are treating them worse than Afrikaners will do. This is not an anti-Indian statement, it's the truth. If we tell whites the truth, if we tell blacks the truth, we can as well tell Indians the truth. They must treat our people properly here in KwaZulu-Natal. The same. Indians had all sorts of resources Africans didn't have, colors as well. The majority of Indians hate racists. The majority of Indians hate Africans, sorry. The majority of Indians are racist. I'm not saying all, I'm saying majority. So, when I provided an overview of the previous statement uttered against the Indian group, the same considerations also have relevance here. So again, if we look at the historical context, we do see both groups are vulnerable, but that the African group was the most discriminated against group. We also do see that current statistics on poverty show Parliament to a fellow black member of Parliament shows that there is power symmetry between the offender and the target audience. So here, the historical context shows that terms such as garden boy and tea girl were used to demean black persons. And the social context shows the persistence of inequality in class and professions based on race. But the factual context shows that it was made as an insult. However, in light of the identity of the offender, Mr. Gardi, and the recipient of the statement, it is unlikely that the use of the term by a black man is objectively intended to be hurtful in the sense